What is the longest that any human being has ever been frozen? If you think you know the answer, go ahead and comment it below because we're gonna go over this case and we're gonna find out if you are right or wrong. So let's get into it. On January of 1964, an Alaskan Airlines flight from Seattle to Las Vegas made an emergency landing in Utah due to engine trouble. A rescue plane was sent to search for survivors. They found the crashed aircraft buried in snow. There were 5 people in the plane, 4 passengers and 1 pilot. They were all dead except for 1 woman. Her name was Anna Bishop. She survived the crash, but she had been frozen in temperatures of -40 degrees Fahrenheit for more than 2 hours. Doctors didn't think she would make it. But against all odds, Anna did survive. Anna suffered from hypothermia. That's when your body's temperature drops to low and important functions begin to slow down. When someone gets severely hypothermic, their core body temperature can fall to around 85 degrees Fahrenheit or less. The heart begins to beat very slowly. Vital organs shut down. At 76 degrees Fahrenheit, brain damage begins. And at 72 degrees Fahrenheit, death occurs. Now, this is what happened to Anna Bishop. She was at the very edge of death. She almost became a ghost. But somehow she was brought back. And since then, scientists have studied her extensively to figure out how she did this. How does a human survive being frozen for hours? So Anna and these 4 other passengers got onto this small plane and they were headed to Las Vegas. But there was a problem. The plane lost power. The pilot tried to land the plane in a field, but he overshot the runway and the plane went off the side of a hill. It slid across some snow and finally landed in a spot that was 3 feet deep. The outside temperature was between -30 and -40 degrees Fahrenheit. So basically, the moment that those passengers left the plane, they were pretty much screwed. Their body's natural ability to keep warm wouldn't be able to last more than a few minutes in that weather. So when rescuers arrived at the scene, they saw that the pilot had died instantly. And within 15 minutes, 3 of the passengers also died. 1 passenger survived longer than the others, but she froze to death about 2 hours after the crash. Only Anna Bishop survived. For hours, she was completely frozen solid. Her body was ice cold. Her heart had stopped beating. She was literally a popsicle. But then something really strange happened. A rescue helicopter lifted her up and put her into a different plane where doctors were waiting for her. She was placed on a heating pad. But even after an hour, she still showed no signs of life. Then doctors started pumping her stomach with warm water. Finally, after 2 hours and 15 minutes, her heart began to beat again. And 1 minute later, she opened her eyes. Somehow Anna had survived being frozen for hours. In this picture, you can see Anna being carried onto the helicopter. In this picture, you can see how frozen she was. Her body was totally stiff. Her hands were frozen together. Her legs were frozen together. This isn't what a normal person looks like. And doctors were baffled by this. How could someone be frozen solid and then come back to life? What did Anna Bishop have that the other passengers didn't have? Was there some secret, some hidden ability that allowed her to survive this long? After interviewing Anna, doctors learned that she had been drinking a lot before she boarded the plane. She drank a bottle of wine and several whiskey and soda pop. She also drank a couple of beers. After the crash, Anna was put into a medically induced coma for 9 days. When she woke up, she had no idea what had happened. She couldn't remember the crash or anything that happened before. She didn't even know who she was. She had total amnesia. Eventually, Anna's memory returned. She remembered everything. But something else happened while she was in the hospital. Doctors conducted a series of tests on her and they discovered that she had no feeling in her toes, no feeling in her feet, and no feeling in parts of her lower legs. This led doctors to believe that Anna might suffer from permanent nerve damage. But miraculously, a week later, the feeling returned to her feet and to her legs. So, here's what we know. Anna survived being frozen for hours. She was turned into a human popsicle, and then she came back to life. She spent 2 hours in sub-freezing temperatures. She was found at -30 degrees Fahrenheit, but when she was rescued, her core body temperature was only 67 degrees Fahrenheit. And somehow after 2 hours of being frozen, her body temperature wasn't much lower than when she was taken out of the plane. So how did this woman survive? How did her body temperature stay so high? There are several factors that influence how fast the body loses heat. These include wind speed, humidity, and clothing. All of these factors may have played a role in Anna's survival. But when scientists analyzed her case, they believed that the main reason she was able to survive being frozen for hours was because of the alcohol that she drank before boarding the plane. Alcohol dilates blood vessels. This allows warmer blood to flow closer to the skin, which increases heat loss. But it also prevents ice from forming under the skin. This is called supercooling. Supercooling is what happens when a liquid becomes colder than its freezing point, but it doesn't turn into a solid. This can happen to water, and it can also happen to the blood in our bodies. When your body temperature starts to drop, normally ice will form in your veins and arteries. This stops the flow of blood, and without blood flowing to your vital organs, you will die. But if your body undergoes supercooling, then ice won't form inside you. The liquid will remain liquid even though it's well below freezing. This means that the blood can continue to flow to your organs. And if the blood continues to flow, then the organs can continue working. Scientists believe that this is what happened to Anna Bishop. The alcohol she drank before boarding the plane caused her body to undergo supercooling. This allowed her to survive for hours. But this raises another question. Why did the other passengers not undergo supercooling? We know that the crash lasted for hours, and the passengers stayed in the plane for hours. So why didn't the alcohol that they drank also cause them to supercool? Here's what we believe happened. Anna was outside the plane for much longer than the other passengers were. She was outside the plane for 2 hours. The crash itself probably only lasted for a few minutes, but then she stayed outside the plane for much longer than anyone else. And that's probably what caused her body to undergo supercooling. This case was a medical mystery for decades. Scientists had no idea how Anna was able to survive for so long. And now we have a theory. It looks like the alcohol that she drank before getting onto the plane caused her body to supercool. This kept the blood flowing through her body, and this is what kept her alive. But this begs the question, is it possible for anyone to survive being frozen for hours? Well, it depends. If you're very overweight, then you can survive being frozen for longer than a thinner person. That's because fat acts as an insulator. So a person who is very overweight will lose body heat slower than a thinner person. Also, if you're young, you can probably survive being frozen for longer than an older person. Children lose body heat slower than adults. So a child can probably survive being frozen for longer than an adult. And finally, if you are wearing warm clothing, then you can probably survive being frozen for longer. People who are dressed warmly tend to lose body heat slower than people who are dressed in regular clothing. So someone who is well equipped for the winter weather can survive being frozen for longer than someone who is not. Still, it's hard to imagine someone surviving for more than 30 minutes after being frozen. But Anna Bishop survived for 2 hours. So, anything is possible. But what do you think? Have you heard about cases like this one? Do you know of anyone who has survived being frozen for a long time? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos.